What do you call a running turkey? Fast food. What's going on, YouTube? Have a happy Thanksgiving and also a happy Black Friday. If you participate in either of those two holidays, I know sometimes I go out for Black Friday. I'm still a little bit indifferent. There are some decent deals near me, but today we're going to talk about a couple deals that ESO has and if any of these are worth it for you as a new returning endgame player, brand new player, etc. We have a couple deals on the Crown Store and a couple deals on sales as well for the overall game. Notably, we have 4 Black Frida's deals inside the ESO Crown Store. Are any of these worth it? So I'm going to go in order of best to worst. And I'm going to talk about a couple things here. One, I had a comment on another video where I spoke about these and that somebody had pointed out that the 8100 crown value to 1900 crown value is a X, Y, or Z deal. Oh, it's good. Oh, it's bad. Here's the thing, right? The currency is made up. It all comes down to what value do you think you're going to get from these items? I could give you 1,000 crown soul gems. That could be a more billion gold value. The problem is that unless you need that many soul gems, I've basically just given you some really cool paperweights. So keep that in mind as we go through here. The value and the sales percentage and all those other things are not necessarily important. It's actually what's in them that is more important. And only really one of these I think is actually a decent deal. And that is actually this one. So the Black Frida's special for the Black Frida's Walker is actually not a terrible deal. The reason I say that is you get a 2-person mount. Now you might think to yourself, Jake, why is a 2-person mount so special? Well, oftentimes you might be doing duo content. Got your boy David and you. Well, David is a bit of a silly goose and doesn't level up his mounts, especially on his PvP characters. He just goes out, gets sets for him, gets skills for him, doesn't level up his mount. So when you take him to Cyrodiil, unless you want to watch the entirety of the Lord of the Rings movie before he gets to Fort Ash from Fort Robeck, you probably need to make sure that you escort him there, and you can actually have him ride your mount with you. 2-person mounts are exceptionally helpful for duo content, especially if you're playing with somebody else, and especially if they don't have fully leveled up characters for mount speed on the characters that they're using. It's kind of niche again, but it is something that I think a lot of people don't consider. Mid-year Mayhem, I think it's absolutely fantastic to have these. It helps get people who aren't as interested in going into Cyrodiil more interested in going into Cyrodiil. The actual crown experience scrolls, remember, you can see I've got almost 270 of these bad boys. You just get them from logging in, and you can get their free version that you can buy from other players with gold for really cheap. Crown fortifying meals are also hot garbage that you could just get better versions of off the market. Crown lessons are okay, certainly not offensive. I do think the speed lessons and the capacity lessons are decent. I do prefer those over the stamina lessons. I think they're better value than the stamina lessons. Crown gems, again, whatever. Tri-stat potions are okay. They're definitely something expensive to make if you were to make them with gold versus buying them with crowns. But I think for me, what really sets this one apart is that I would purchase a mount like this for over the actual 1,800 or 1,900 crown price point. I don't know exactly how much these were when they first came out. Somewhere between, I think, 2,500 and 5,000, depending on which version and how cool the 2-person mount was. 2-people mounts are generally a more expensive value, and I do think it's not a terrible investment if you wanted to get one of these. But again, only if you see yourself in that situation where you're taking your boy David through Cyrodiil and he has no mount speed, or you're questing together and he's got no mount speed and you're doing all your stuff together. It is convenient to have a 2-person mount. Now, these other 3, they're only separated by a couple things. One, the mount on the actual face of it. So here we have a lizard mount, which admittedly does look kind of cool. Then we have an elk mount, which I think is an absolute kind of scam. You can already get in drakes relatively easy with event tickets pretty much year round. And then this one is different because it has not only this, basically a llama, with an actual pet that could go with it. That's kind of cool. That's really all that separates these 3 ones right here. Now, the other thing that separates it is this one is 100 crowns more. So 100 crowns more gets you the actual pet itself with the mount But really, unless you really want these mounts and you're just kind of like, speed and capacity lessons, whatever, a couple other extra bits and bobs, because generally these mounts would be this value, it's fine. Another thing that's important to note too is that these are giftable, meaning that if you wanted to buy these from another player that is selling crowns, you could certainly do so, meaning that you don't necessarily have to buy these with your crowns. If you join some high tier trading guilds, you'll find a lot of people trading in crowns to gold, meaning that you could buy these. Again, the only one that I would really consider any sort of value is going to be this one, unless you really are like, Jake, this mount speaks to me. But even if it does, there's quite a few mounts in the game that look pretty decent, and mounts are also purely cosmetic. So just keep obvious. I know it's an obvious thing, but the only thing that makes a mount not just cosmetic is if it's 2-person mount. It's the only real time it's more than just a cosmetic, because then you're just getting the value of Hull and David around and his cake. Now, there's also a secondary deal for Black Friday. This one's definitely going to be a little more interesting and a little more contentious, because a lot of people do not like the 2025 Content Pass. Now, you could get the Content Pass for $16 on Xbox, which has, I believe, a little bit of an extra deal attached to it because of the Game Pass. Or you can also, for $26, get the Legendary Edition of it, which basically just includes every previous chapter that came out in the game. So that's Morrowind, Somerset, Elsewhere, Grainmore, Blackwood, High Isle, Necrom, Gold Road, and Tamriel Unlimited. So when it comes to, is there any value in these? Obviously, the answer is going to be, it depends. Let's talk about the $26 for the Legendary Edition, because I think that one's easier to discuss. So a lot of the primary pieces of content that's kind of going to, I don't want to say stifle your ability to get into endgame content, but a lot of the cool, fun trials and certain mechanics like antiquities, jewelry crafting, some of the cool trials like Sunspire, Cloud Rest, those are all going to be locked behind a chapter. So you don't need ESO Plus to have them. If you already have ESO Plus, you certainly don't really need to consider this. But if you did not have ESO Plus and you don't want to pay a monthly subscription, the majority of the content that you need to do the majority of content in the game and, be able to participate in some of those fun end game trials and end game content, you can simply get for the $26 version of ESO, and then you just own it. You have those DLCs. You don't need to then purchase them again. You don't need ESO Plus. So $26 is actually a pretty decent value for that. It's normally $80. I don't know if I would say that it's worth $80, but if you think about it, there's a lot of content that's behind a lot of these. $26 is, unfortunately, in 2025, it's like the third of a price of a full price game from Nintendo, or unfortunately Xbox here soon, or PlayStation. So from that, you're going to get hundreds of hours of DLC content that's going to help enable your characters to progress significantly further. And if you don't have those unlocked, it's a great value. If you find yourself playing ESO a lot, it's a great value. I could definitely stand behind that, especially if you really don't need ESO Plus if you're going to then utilize this content for a little bit. And then once you've utilized it and you've got your antiquities, you've got your trials, and you want to start getting some of the other perks of ESO Plus, the furnishing vault, the craft bag, those other, nitty gritty things, being able to add double the things, to all your houses and blah, blah, blah. Then you'll know, after you've done some of these DLC upgrade contents through these chapters, if it's worth then getting ESO Plus, and if it's going to be something you get into the habit of doing monthly. The actual chapter itself, which is included in the premium upgrade edition, is going to be a little bit interesting if you should get it, because this is what it will include. You'll get the Fallen Banners dungeon pack. You'll get the Season of the Worm Cult Part 1, so that's the left half of Solstice. You get the Feast of Shadows dungeon pack. You get the Season of the Worm Cult Part 2, and you get the Writhing Wall event, which is completed already. So that one's already done. But it will come back for a period of time just so you can experience the cinematic aspect of the final fight again. So is there value in that? Well, a lot of the value is going to come down to the dungeons. If you like running dungeons, if you like having the newest dungeons, the new trial is actually pretty fun. And realistically, if you really want certain meta relevant things, but the only super meta relevant thing outside of the trial is probably the mythic, the monomyth. If you PvP a lot, the monomyth is a super fantastic mythic that pretty much everybody is building around. And if you're not building around using it, you're building around not getting killed instantly by it. So it is a very popular mythic to use. There are some other good things and other good content, nitty gritty things that you could have, but a lot of the chapter content pass is going to come down to the new trial as well as the monomyth mythic. The trial is going to be, you know, for the PvE players who want to get the fun stuff from there, the achievements, the rewards, the motif pages that they can sell, the sets that are pretty cool. And then if you're a PvPer, you just want the monomyth. And then there's obviously people who want the story. The story, I will say, is relatively cool from the outside looking in. For somebody who's a very big story connoisseur, I will say sometimes the story kind of ebbs and flows in ESO, but it just depends on what you like. Personally, I prefer what Daedric storylines. I think, you know, having played Oblivion, Skyrim, Morrowind, I just love the Daedric intervention into the storyline. I love seeing the realm, seeing how they interact. I think it's awesome. So sometimes storylines like High Isle, I'm kind of like, yeah, you know, it's okay. And then I get to a Somerset and I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. And for me, that's where I fall. But if you're not interested as much into the Molig Ball, Metamarco, you know, Daedra, you know, domination storyline, it's probably not going to speak to you as much as some of the other storylines might. And the reality is ESO has thousands of hours of storylines. If you're interested in ESO's story, you could probably go do zones that you've never done yet. You could go to freaking Stros Mackay, put together a team, you know, and then do that storyline. You don't really need to experience the Solstice storyline. It's not going to give you any sort of overt benefit. Is there a benefit, you might be wondering? Well, kind of. DLC storylines generally give you skill points faster than non-DLC storylines do. And obviously skill points are very valuable. Having skill points can be helpful because subclassing costs extra skill points. You might have a crafter main character. So there is some value in doing DLC storylines, but there's plenty of DLC storylines to go do. Go do Vardenfell. That was given away for free. Hrothgar, given away for free. Go do those storylines first if you need skill points. Go do Sky Shards. Go do public dungeon farming. You can always find an alternative way to play ESO where you don't need to have something specific. And that's what I need to impart on you in this video. Nothing here is essential. You don't need any of these Black Friday deals. You don't need to get any of these things if it's not going to be good for you. At the end of the day, money is relative to everybody and how they think they're going to spend their time. We all have that friend that has 1,000 Steam games and plays 0 of them. And we have those other friends who will not buy any games, even if they're $5 on Steam, and even if the whole squad is playing it and having fun. So how you utilize your time, how you utilize your money, and what is a good value to you, you have to think and impart upon yourself. That's what I wanted to kind of break down in this video, and I hope it was helpful. And I think, thankfully, nothing here is essential. And that might seem bad because it might think to yourself, Jake, I want to have good value. I want to be able to go out and buy things that I need. Well, ESO is one of those games that has so many thousands of hours of content that you can participate in. You don't really need ESO Plus. You don't need chapter expansions. You can sit around in Riften all day asking for feat picks. I mean, there's so many things that you can do on a daily basis that you don't got to worry about owning specific chapter content unless you have a specific goal. So again, if you think that you want to have all of the chapters at $26 is a great value. Being able to own all of those, jewelry crafting, antiquities, all the trial content that comes with it, that is good value. $26, I could tell you, is good value. The chapter content pass alone will really depend. It depends on if you want to enjoy the monomyth mythic meta right now, specifically as a user of it. It's if you want to do the trial and, you know, have all the content and stuff done for it now while everybody's still farming it a whole lot. It's going to depend. And any of these Black Friday deals, if you got a boy David in your friend group who never upgrades their mount daily and you need to haul them around everywhere, maybe you're going to farm dragons together. You know, any event that has dragon farming, there's always that friend that's slow. Or, you know, pearl farming, or any sort of farming that you need to do, or PvP, especially in Cyrodiil. It's helpful to have a 2-person mount, but again, it's not essential. Sometimes we have friends who make positive choices and log in and do their daily writs, and they do their daily mount log upgrades. So sometimes you don't need those as well. But if you are interested, I will say it is an okay value to get. So that is what I have to say in this video. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns in the comments below. Please hit a like on the video as well. We're doing our 3 giveaway drawings. All you need to do to enter is leave a like and a comment on the video. If you don't have time to do both, just do either or, because I pick from the community spotlight. So you can leave one comment, and as long as you left some likes, you still have a chance to get pulled for that. Second thing is just make sure you subscribe. We're on the road to 35,000 subscribers, a huge milestone. So please hit the subscribe button. And the third thing, look for a hidden word be flashed upon the screen. It will be posted very soon. About 70% of the way done with the video. It is a 34K special video. So if you have any questions that you want specifically answered in that video, put them in the comments below. Please just put a question mark, because I have actually the ability in YouTube to hit a comment. I have a comments tab, but I can click a has a question like button, and then I can actually see the ones that you guys have asked. So please ask a question if you want it in the video. Obviously you don't have to, but thank you guys so much again for watching. Have a happy Thanksgiving, Black Friday, or just have a fantastic Thursday, because some of you probably don't have to work tomorrow. And even if you do work tomorrow, you might be seeing this on Friday. Best day of the week. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.
You better remember to like and subscribe to Jakeclips. Or you should. I might have to pluck your eyes if you don't. Or, better yet, I'll skip rope with your entrails. Do it now. Subscribe. Ta-ta. Off with you.